Oh, you're giving me the you're a bad Asian face.
Going to bed with wet hair and having the fan on, you will die.
Good as dead.
Thank you. Your racism is very casual.
How Asian am I now?
Today we're playing
Never Have I Ever, Asian Australian edition.
Never have I ever called someone auntie or uncle even though I wasn't related to them.
Duh.
What else do you call strangers on the bus?
Whenever we went to Singapore, which is where my mum is from, you'd just be inundated with these family members and you're just like, I don't know who you are, but auntie.
Anyone above the age of 40, they're not Mr. or Mrs. or they don't have a first name anymore. It's auntie, or
uncle.
That's it.
Have some respect.
I hate to say it, but I have graduated to the point where people are like, say hello to auntie. And yes. Yes.
But it's not a sledge, it's an honorific.
It's an honorific,
that
that's
you
right.
should
It's a beautiful
embrace.
culture. Beautiful culture.
Never have I ever been asked, no, where are you really from?
Yeah.
Every cab, every Uber.
It's like when they say, your English is very good, and then all you can say is, thank you, your racism is very casual.
My favourite question.
Probably
in the world.
just the other day. How long have you got? Scottish, Irish, English, Chinese, Malaysian, born in Malaysia, grew up in Papua New Guinea, lived in so many Australian cities.
When I tell them what I am, which is like I'm half Indian, half Irish, my mum's from Singapore, that's where we spent all of our summers growing up, they just sort of look at me blankly and just be like, how does that work?
I just don't understand what is the purpose behind the question.
Why do you look like that, but sound like this?
Unless you're a First Nations person on this continent, everyone comes from
Yeah.
somewhere.
I don't see malice attached to this question most of the time. People that are really racist don't ask.
Never have I ever had a home remedy and been told it works better than Western medicine.
The worst thing is I do it now. Like as an adult, I do it. 100% Tiger Balm. I'm like, anytime someone's sick now, I'm like, just turn on your front, take off your shirt. I know we've just met and let me fix this for you. Get a spoon out and they do it. People just sit there and let me do things to them. Don't say things on tape.
My mum will make soups that will apparently cure cancer.
And there was like random things that mum would make that I genuinely think in retrospect she was making up on the spot. She'd be like, just chuck lots of ginger, lots of chili, a tomato, and just be like, that is a remedy. It's an ancient remedy that I fully came up with on the spot.
When you get a cold, there's like these Chinese doctors that you'll go to. You'll end up with like a plastic takeaway cup full of the most viscous black tar liquid that tastes like dirt.
I remember once with Tiger Balm, I don't know how this was a thing, but like we rubbed it into our feet. But I realise now when my kids are sick, I rub Vicks in their feet. I'm just like, why am I doing this?
My mum was never into like the Chinese medicines, but she was into certain health superstitions. I don't know if you ever got this, but like going to bed with wet hair and having the fan on, you will die.
Good as dead.
But you know, I like to live dangerously. So.
What, do you go to sleep with the fan on?
Yeah, but wet hair, fan,
Oh no.
higher setting.
Oh no, that explains a lot.
Never have I ever walked with shoes in the house.
If you only have Asian friends, then it'd be this.
This has actually been like a lax thing around my house. It's like,
In your personal abode.
Yeah.
You'll
yeah.
relax that.
No, it's always been a thing growing up. We had so many animals growing up that it's just like the shoes are the least of your worries.
I see where you're coming from.
Of course I've walked with shoes in the house.
Like on purpose?
Yeah.
Like how often?
Oh, you're giving me the you're a bad Asian face.
Not a bad Asian, a bad person. How often?
This is a caveat because if it's my house, no, because that's disgusting.
If it is someone else's house and they walk in without taking off their shoes, I still take off my shoes.
I still take off my shoes as well, unless there's some sort of Anglo-aggressive thing, like leave your shoes on. This is a shoes on household.
We sleep with our shoes on.
Yeah, in which case I'm like, I will respect your culture, but it feels incorrect.
So you never ever wear shoes in the house?
I get so upset if someone walks in my house with shoes. I'm just like, I can't hear anything they're saying and I'm just like, it's over.
We are very much shoes at the front. And we have a cat. And I'm like wiping down its paws every time he comes inside. I'm like treating the cat like, yeah, how Asian am I
I
now?
walk into the house and usually within 5 to 10 minutes the shoes
5 to 10 minutes? I thought you were gonna say like 5 steps.
Never have I ever had to go to language school on the weekends.
How good's your Chinese?
As good as someone who never went to Chinese school on the weekend.
Absolutely terrible.
I kind of wish I could speak.
Because then people could say, take your shoes off.
Take your shoes off.
My younger sister's got it, but I got off scot-free which might explain my terrible Cantonese.
Yeah, I grew up in Richmond in New South Wales, and I mean, you know, being the only Asians in the village, there wasn't really anywhere to go and learn stuff, you know?
Try finding a Chinese language school in Townsville, mate.
The thing is, because Mum's from Singapore and the national language of Singapore is English, but it's like Singlish. Ethnically, we're Indian, but culturally, we're sort of Singaporean. So as a result of that, there was never an impetus to learn.
I was so bad at Chinese that my friend would write the answers on an eraser, throw them over to me, and then I would copy them into the test that we were doing. Like, we learned nothing at Chinese school.
Like, I think I'm envious of anybody that knows their culture because we're kind of raised without it.
Never have I ever been pressured into becoming a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or accountant.
Yeah, me neither. And mostly because it was very apparent when I was going through school that I would never get the marks to do
100%.
any of those things.
100%. That's just for when you see potential.
The options were obviously always on the table, but the pressure was on whatever you do, do it well.
Are our parents outliers though, do you think?
Our parents are legends. Thank you, Mum. Thank you, Dad.
When you were explaining what you were doing with your YouTube channel and kind of and comedy, did your parents get it?
My parents is just like constantly, even now, they're just like, but you're not funny. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, what do you want me to say? And he goes once, well, I guess everything is popular these days.
My mum, yeah, the expectation was there. Once I did choose to become an actor and you know, once I actually did appear on a TV show, then things were okay.
Yeah, immigrant parents, like often it's just about, we've come here, huge change in our lives, and the next knock-on effect of that is we want you to pick something that is going to be safe and secure and basically, in effect, justify their decision, right? Justify the decision to make this life-changing move.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there is this big drive, particularly amongst immigrant parents, for their kids to have really stable, prestigious even, jobs.
Never have I ever had rice for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Yeah, rice is sick.
It's the best of all of the carbs.
Of course.
Delicious.
Of course.
What else are you eating? Like,
I need diversity. I need to switch
don't
it up.
pull the diversity card on me now, Max.
There are households that will have the rice cooker on in the morning.
When I'm sad, I eat rice, and this is so, I don't mean to be racist, but sometimes like, is this what it's like when white people eat bread?
For breakfast, juk, congee. In the middle of the day, like I would use last night's rice to make maybe a fried rice for lunch, like
Very
an egg fried
good,
rice.
very nice, yep.
And then at night, you would make your song. So you know the main meals that then accompany your rice. So it's not unusual to have rice 3 times a day.
I think the true mark of whether or not you're a proper Asian is whether or not you have a rice cooker.
I have so many rice
You
cookers.
have more than one?
Yeah, and I have like a little travel one that's just for one person. But
my
I'm always
God.
scared to take it because I'm worried they're gonna think it's a bomb.
Well, did you have a rice like bucket growing up?
Oh my
Like,
God,
just
Benjamin.
A massive
We
bucket
still
of rice?
have that orange bucket. It's about this big, and my favourite sound in the world is when you use the little plastic cup that
Yes.
comes from the rice cooker, you scoop it and you can smell that uncooked rice flavour.
Oh, that
My favourite
jasmine-y
sound
rice.
in the world
Yeah.
is putting that rice, tipping it into the rice cooker container.
Yeah.
Like that is like the
That is
finest sound in the world.
Asian ASMR.
Never have I ever had to put up with a racist joke or face being told that I don't have a sense of humour.
Yeah, it's a shitty one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a really
Yeah,
shitty one.
yeah. And it's kind of, and then it's just on you, like, oh, come on, mate, take a joke. And it's like, well, it's actually not that funny.
The most racist jokes I've heard have never come from white people, and often they've come from other Asians, so I should flag that. But the ones that make you really uncomfortable, I never speak up. And I feel really bad about it. I always sit there and go,
And then you almost kind of weirdly talk yourself into being that person where you're a bit like, oh yeah, I can take a joke. Like I'm proud of it. Yeah, I can roll with the boys.
I'm always really impressed at people that do take the time to articulate in a really elegant way why something is or doesn't work and why it can be hurtful in a way that kind of maintains everyone's dignity in the process, because that's really the hard thing. It's very easy to just be like, you're racist.
You know, I've sat in editorial meetings where people have said, referring to athletes, oh, an Asian athlete, as if there are any good Asian athletes. And just, my mind is just so taken aback with that it doesn't even have time to physically respond.
Catching trains back when I was at uni, oh my gosh, I think I used to get someone saying something racist to me like 3 times a week minimum. Shit. I remember someone yelling out once, does anyone here speak English in this carriage? Because they were just frustrated, I guess, at the demographic. And I stood up and I said, yeah, I speak English. What do you want me to say? I shouldn't sound like such a gangster. But with friends in circles and stuff, and if it's somebody who I know or somebody's parent or someone's, it's conversation to be had. I find that's the easiest. But on a train, I'll fight you. Never have I ever been to tutoring. Oh man, I lived in tutoring. Didn't do very well for someone who spent so much time in tutoring.
They did send me to speech and drama lessons. So look at me now.
I've been to tutoring. Tutoring is good. I have been a tutor.
I have also been a tutor.
We are good Chinese people.
No, I think my parents knew that tutoring would be a waste of money on me, and so they saved their money, which was smart.
I think my dad attempted to teach me maths, and that destroyed both my interest in maths and possibly our relationship.
Kumon. I did a lot of Kumon maths tutoring as a kid.
And it worked.
It didn't. I dropped out of maths.
You ever notice the Kumon icon is like a sad face? It's like a kid just like,
My
Are you
maths
good
is
at
terrible.
maths?
No, bad Asian over here.
Never have I ever been threatened with a slipper, hairbrush, hanger, or broom. These are all very specific items in the household.
It was fun growing up.
Not those exact implements, but I've got other ones if you want to hear.
Let's hash out our childhood trauma right now.
I've never.
I have, definitely.
My mum did, but like not with any of these things. She'd hit me with chopsticks.
What? They're made out of balsa wood.
Yeah, but I'm little.
I am imagining a parent running with all of those items. And I've got to say, a broom is the funniest.
My mum especially went out and bought bamboo canes. Does that sound really
Whoa.
Singapore.
Whoa.
Oh no, actually maybe I shouldn't say.
But the fact that it was a slipper made it funny. Like in retrospect, at the time I'm sure I didn't think it was funny.
There might have been the threatening of a slipper, which is why I'm putting I have, but mostly my mum just used words which were sometimes more brutal. Never have I ever received brutally honest comments about my appearance from my family.
Hell yeah.
Oh man, every day.
But the good news is they're getting it back now. Oh, you are getting old. Are you shrinking,
Oh
Mum?
no.
You've gained weight. You've lost weight. Your skin's terrible. What's happening with your hair?
You look like no one owns you.
Are you okay that your lips are so dry? It's so good that you don't mind how your hair looks.
I didn't necessarily get them about appearance, and I don't know if that's like a male privilege thing with certain Chinese families. Did you ever get, I found you in the bin?
It's so sad. Like, I'm just thinking about the younger version of me that had to listen to the aunt saying, "Fei Joa," like, you're fatter.
Well, my mum always says, if I don't tell you, who will? And then she always says, it's easy for people to say nice things to you. I could say nice things about a stranger. I love you, that's why I tell you what's wrong with you. You realise in Western culture, everyone's so polite to each other. And I remember the first time people were complimenting, I was like, what's wrong? Like it makes me so uncomfortable when people compliment me or congratulate me. And I'm like, stop, shut up, I'm gonna kill you. Like, I hate it.
My mum, she's actually all for assimilating good parts of different cultures. What she likes about Australian culture is that it's considered rude to comment on someone's physical appearance because she's like, I don't like it when people do that to me. I'm not going to do that anymore. My father would greet extended family members who weren't Chinese with, "Oh, Merry Christmas, you're fatter."
Never have I ever wished I had less Asian features.
I have, growing up, and
Yeah.
sometimes I do now as well.
Yeah.
I get a bit of hate online for this stuff. People are like, you're very self-hating and you are ashamed of being Asian, where I think it's a pretty common thing for people when they look different to think about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a
real
real
talk.
one. Yeah.
Real talk.
Yeah,
Mm.
I was always very proud of who I was, how I looked, where I came from. And the way I saw it, even as a kid, was like, I've not got the problem, you do.
What does it mean to you, the idea of having Asian features?
Like a more petite or shorter stature, you know, like I'm usually the shortest person amongst like white male friends, like really, really straight hair. Like I wish I had that beachy hair.
Kids are dumb, like I don't mean that in a rude way, kids are super stupid. But I remember being told your skin is dirty, your nose is too big.
I got skin as dirty too now.
Yeah.
High school, when you start wanting to fit in, it got hectic. Every day was a fight, and I'm talking like an actual physical proper fight. So there were certain things and certain days where you just went home wishing, you know, that you could fit in a bit more. Wanting to be able to blend was kind of more my thing, but I got over that.
I remember growing up and just really wishing I was white. Like, just because it was the dominant, like you turn on TV and all you would see is white people. It's infinitely easier now than it was when we were growing up, but I do think it's a real process of being like, the thing that makes me different is actually good. It's something to be proud of. It's something to be explored.
As Lizzie Who, the comedian, says.
Asian gracefully. That's us.
Oh, that's us, yeah. But you know what Margaret Cho also says? You know, we look like this and then one day we're 60 and we're Yoda.
But then Ali Wong would say, black don't crack, and Asian don't die.
To all the Asian Australians out there watching this, thanks for watching.
All the bits that make up who you are actually your superpower.
You belong here, we all do, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
Don't be afraid to back yourself, take up that space, and take your seat at the table.
Asian Australians are a broad church, and if you watching us has made you feel like we don't represent you, I'm so sorry, but please know that there are so many places and people that would love to see your face, and I am certainly one person who's looking forward to seeing your face somewhere telling us, ever have you never, ever have I, never have you ever.
Ever.
Ever. I really understand the concept of this show.